first time that we at Angler's Choice have ever done this round table, and these guys have been gracious enough to come up and do it. We thought we'd have a little fun, and the fun starts up here, but it ends down there, so let's have some good questions. And what I'll do is pass this mic around and make sure that everyone kind of gets into it. Let's get a feel in it, but the first thing I'm going to do is ask a couple of questions. So my first question to these guys is, how did you get started professionally? How has it changed your life? How has it changed your life?
I got to be the guinea pig. I got to be the first. All right, so I got started fishing professionally before I got married. I don't think I can do it now. So the year I started my professional career is 2007. It was actually the same year that I got married. Me and my wife actually got married the week before my very first ever Forest Wood Cup appearance in 2007. So we had a short honeymoon and I had to fly out to Arkansas. Luckily, I did very well, and she flew out to be there on the final day when I made the top 10. So we kind of had two honeymoons in one. But it was a great experience for me because being able to start my family as I started my fishing career, and that I feel like that has helped me a long ways because, you know, I know we're individuals up on the stage and when we're out on the water, but it really is a team event. You've got to have that family support system, and that's something that's really helped me a long ways through my career. You know, having my family behind me, from my wife to my mother and my father before he passed away. That's something that really helped drive me to take that leap of faith that, you know, I want to do this for a living. It's something I want to do, and I was fortunate enough to start out and have some success and be able to, you know, further my career and get the ball rolling to get where I am today. That's one thing that I'm very fortunate and very thankful for, is just having that family backing. I think that's what got me there and what's keeping me rolling.
This is my turn. All right. Well, way back in the day, before I started fishing professionally, I used to paint cars. I painted like 40 cars a week, and just make a note, I like fishing a whole lot more than painting cars. And I'm not painting no more cars, but back in the day, we had, BASS had an Eastern Invitational coming to the St. Johns River. So Hank, I know he likes St. Johns River. Back in the day, and it was the second tournament on the schedule. The first one was at Thousand Islands up in New York. And I paid all my deposits because I was one of those local anglers going to try to jackpot this tournament. You know, I'd never had this first one I ever fished, BASS. Pay all my deposits. I know I had to pay all 4 of them to get in this event. It's 4 tournaments. The top 5 go to the Bassmaster Classic. And I paid all my deposits. I'm better waiting for them to call me, waiting for them. They never call me. I'm 44th on the waiting list to get in this event. So the first one's at Thousand Islands, New York. Everybody takes off that lives around me. They're going up to New York to fish this tournament. I'm bummed out. I'm down there painting cars. Got headset on, sanding cars, painting cars. That's when 9/11 hit. You know, the whole country shut down when 9/11 hit. So they canceled that tournament. And everybody come back home. They didn't have that event. They just canceled it altogether. So now the St. John's is the next tournament coming up. And there's enough guys that was from New York area that got out. That put me in that event. So I fished in St. John's. I won that event, won $50,000. And went on. There's 2 more tournaments. Top 5 go to the Bassmaster Classic. So I go up to Lake Martin up in Alabama, and I get to fish with Woo Days. I met Woo Days there. That was back then it was, you know, pro on pro, and he was one I drew. So anyways, I know where some fish are, this and that. So I had a great time with Woo. We didn't catch that many fish, but I caught enough to cash the check there. Going up to the Potomac, and I do pretty well there. Finished 5th in the points. I made the Bassmaster Classic. And I'm like Ricky Bobby. I have no sponsors whatsoever. I had like no names on my shirt. I could have wore a Hanes t-shirt. It wouldn't have mattered. So I go up there. I fished the Classic. Finished 14th in the Classic. Now the tour is going to start in Florida. So through the Open I won, and the other tournaments I won, and I made I think $14,000 in the Classic. I had like $66,000. It's like going to Vegas playing blackjack. Well, I'm playing with their money now, you know. And the tour's starting in Florida, so it starts at Harris Chain, and I go over there and I finish like 17th in the Harris Chain. And back then we didn't have these $5,000 entry fees. It was like $1,700 or something. So I cash a check, coming in 17th, and next tournament's up to Chobe. So I'm going to go as far as I can till I run out of money. So I got up to Chobe. I win that event. I win $100,000. So I won $70-some thousand in 6 months. I'm like, man, there ain't nothing to this. This is cool. I can keep doing this. So next year I get a few sponsors, and a few years rocks on, and I do pretty good. I win a couple of opens, and now the Classic in 2005 is coming to Orlando, and I'm kind of a favorite to win that because I just want to open it in the Kissimmee chain. That's where we're kicking off the year too, by the way. And Toyota's coming into the sport, so it's just perfect timing. All that rolled together, and I got a great sponsor from Toyota. And here I am, I guess, 23 years later, still doing this. So it's been real fortunate for me. It's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of great people. And everybody's like, man, you ever get tired of doing this? I see everybody here. I talk to everybody. I say, no, not really. This beats the heck out of painting cars. So it's been a good ride, and that's how I got started. But before I give this mic up, and I know I shouldn't be spending a whole lot of time, I want y'all to know y'all got to answer questions or ask questions. We had this 4-hour debate yesterday. Parker and David Dudley here. What's best, zebra mussels or goby? So remember that, because we got to ask these questions while we're up here, and we're going to get the final answer today.
Oh my goodness! Well, I can tell you what my start in the deal. I always fished and hunt. We just had an outdoor family. That's what we did. We didn't, we didn't have. Well, back in my day, we didn't even have Disney World and stuff like that. So, because I'm one of those old guys. But so all of a sudden, I get this kid in school. He moves over. We knew each other from Boy Scouts in 8th grade. And he comes over to my school. He's a new kid in school. He knew me, so I was the only guy who knew. We started hanging out, and he loved bass fishing. Now, I just like fishing, so I'd go fishing. My dad would take us red fishing, and every year we'd go to the mountains in North Carolina Highlands, and we'd trout fish there and camp there and just had a blast. That was our deal. So every year, everywhere we went, it would be outdoors camping. In fact, one year we camped, we took off from, as soon as I got out of school, camped all the way to Yellowstone and all the way back. That was our summer vacation. So anyway, he comes over to school, and so now he's my best friend in school, and we start fishing together, and he's just bass fishing. He got Bassmaster magazine, reading Bassmaster. It's all bass fishing back in, I guess it's 70, 69, 70, and 71, that area. And so next thing you know, I go bass fishing with him, and he calls me up one day and said, hey, you want to fish a tournament? And I'm like, I was racing motorcycles at the time, and I wasn't a good motorcycle racer, but I sure enjoyed going wild and crazy on the motorcycle. So I go, yeah, I don't have a race this weekend. Let's go fish this thing. Well, it was down the Kissimmee chain, and he had this whopping big boat, this 17-foot Aeroglass with 85, I think is what it was, 85. Back then, the biggest motor was a 125 Mercury, okay? I believe that was right. Oh, no, it was 135. Mercury had 135, and Johnson Everett had 125. Anyway, so it was a Jack Westbury tournament. We were going out of, like Camp Matt, Camp Lester area, and everybody was going to Toho because Toho's the best. It's a chain lake. They line up all these boats. I mean, it's 100 boats lined up in a line, side by side, to go to Toho. They do a blast off where they shoot a flare and you take off. We've never done this, right? And we're looking at this, we're like, well, this is cool. Those guys are like professionals. They got on this jumpsuit. You see Hubert's jumpsuit up there, had matching jumpsuits and matching hats and smoking cigars, and right in front of us, I'm like, oh, those guys are going to be tough. And another guy next to them, they got the big boats, and we couldn't get on the front line, so we said, well, we got a slower boat anyway, we'll just stay behind them. So we stayed behind two boats, and all of a sudden, here comes Jack, and he comes running down the deal with his lights and all this. He gets to that, and poof, there goes the flare up there. Everybody showers down on him. When you shower down on one of these big engines, it blows all the water out. The rock does that, the boat jumps up on the plane, and they're off, right? But we're right behind them, so we catch this wave of water. We go up in there, and there ain't no water. Because we fell like 5 or 6 feet straight down in a hole that they just blew out. My rods are eye level, right? They just float up in the air like that. They hit the ground. My tackle box, which was laying on the floor, it blew open. One of those old plastic ones with the lid, and I got baits all over the floor. I got rods I'm trying to hold on, and my buddy's wide open as fast as he can and doing the deal. And he wants to follow him. I'm like, no. Here comes the racing. Straight line. Go right to that corner over there. going across the waves. He gets by the corner. He cuts off like maybe 20 boats when they're making that corner just to head towards the canal going to Cypress. We get to the canal at Cypress. He's running 6 inches from the bank right there. And he cuts off another 30. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. We get all the way to the lock, and I'm shaking. We're getting in the lock, and I'm like, this is good. And I'm tying on the Texas rig because I got all my tackle back together. I tied it on 3 times and forgot my lead weight. All 3 times I did. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a sport for me. I get to race and fish, and that's how I started.
Professional overrun, not a backlash. I got a similar story, not to Shaw's. It wasn't near as exciting as Shaw's was, but similar to probably a lot of pros out there. I got kind of a couple fortunate breaks early on in my career, and I graduated from NC State in 2003, and I went straight to work at a boat dealership in Shelby, which is shut down now, called Anchor Marine. They were a tracker dealer, you know Anchor Marine, yeah. So Ronnie Walker was the guy's name that owned the place. He knew that my goal was to become a professional fisherman, and he knew what it took. He was a pro craft dealer actually back in the day. I think Paul Elias and a couple guys actually got their boats through him years ago. But he knew the kind of time that I needed to take off to pursue a career in fishing. So in 2004 and 3, right when I got out of school and worked for him, I dabbled into some BFLs and things like that. Had some minor success, but then in 2005, back in the FLW Tour, the good old days of the FLW Tour when the big non-endemics were there, when they had the opens that paid so much and things like that, I started as a co-angler and hit the road by myself. I had an old Toyota truck, and I took off to Lake Okeechobee. Never seen any lakes other than North Carolina lakes. Went down there by myself, stayed in the room by myself, fished a tournament as a co-angler, and got to networking and meeting a few of the pros. I met a guy named Jeffrey Thomas, a guy named Chris Elliott that were pros at the time from North Carolina. They don't fish anymore, but great guys. And they kind of took me under their wing. I was able to travel with them and practice throughout the year. And then I came home and talked to Bryan and Andy, who were fishing local tournaments with me at the time. And we all hit the road in 2006 as co-anglers on the FLW Tour. And what a great learning experience it was. But if I didn't have the job that I had in Anchor Marine at the time, and if it wasn't for a man named Ronnie Walker, who's passed away now, he gave me the time off. He'd let me take off 9, 10, 11 days in a row if I wanted to, go to these tournaments and come home and sell boats for him Monday through Saturday. So that was really a deciding factor in allowing me the opportunity to chase my dream. 2006 rolled around, we were traveling on the FLW Tour and fishing with guys like Dudley and these FLW superstars and learning, priceless information. We were learning more about just lakes we'd never seen before. When I went to Okeechobee, that's the first time I've ever seen a blade of grass in a body of water in my life being from North Carolina. So it was a little overwhelming, but it was a great learning experience. And when we hit the road in 06, Andy Montgomery, who was here yesterday, Bryan Thrift, and myself, we all roomed together and had a blast and learned a ton. And funny story is the way 06 ended for us is Andy ended up winning the Co-Angler of the Year title that year in FLW. I ended up winning the Forest Wood Cup that year as a co-angler, and Bryan was kicking our butt in all of them, but forgot to sign up for like the 4th one in time, so he only fished the first 3, but I think he topped 10 in all 3 of them or something like that. Is that accurate? That's pretty accurate. Had he signed up on time for the rest of them, he'd have probably won Co-Angler of the Year, because he was like blowing us away. But I think I ended up winning like 30 grand for that cup win, and I took that money. The entry fees for the FLW Tour in 2007 for the entire season was like $22,000 or something, which is about half of what it is now, I think. So I was able to take that money, fund my 07 rookie year, which was the same year Bryan turned rookie and Andy turned rookie. We all 3 hit the tour. My rookie year was a rough year, but it was an eye-opening experience, and I came back in 08 and had a lucky break at the first tournament I fished. That's back when you didn't have to fish the entire tour. If you got into certain, I didn't requalify. My rookie year, I didn't requalify to fish the tour in 08. I tried to sign up on Ranger Day, but I pulled a Bryan and I forgot because I was deer hunting. So I forgot to sign up in time. So I signed up and I didn't get in until the 3rd or 4th event, which was an open back then. It was a Walmart Open in Beaver Lake. And I ended up finishing 5th in that tournament. And back then, in 5th place in that tournament, I think I paid like $35,000. I mean, it was phenomenal payouts. First place was $200,000. And I took that 35, I put it back, and I was able to use that to pay my entry fees for 08. Got a few lucky breaks along the way with some sponsorships and things like that. We couldn't do it without the sponsors we have. But that's how I got my start. And as far as how it's changed my life, it's stuff like this right here. It's the fellowship, the relationships that I've built throughout my career that I would not trade for the world. And there's nothing else I'd rather be doing.
Y'all got these big, long, drawn-out stories. I don't know if I got something that long. So, I was a little kid. I'm going to age myself now. So, I was a little kid at 5 years old. You know, I would answer the phone, Bassmaster's Classic Champion, may I help? Like, all I wanted to do, I knew from a very early age, all I wanted to do was fish. I mean, I grew up watching that man right there, Hank Parker, with his push buttons and dancing with his little fly rod on TV, you know, fishing like that. I mean, he was my idol. I wanted to fish a fly rod just like Hank Parker does, you know, and his way he could cast his push buttons. So he was a big inspiration to me, watching him grow up on TV. But so anyways, I knew what I wanted to do, and I was a very focused kid. You know, when people would ask you, what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I was that little kid. I want to be a professional bass fisherman. And y'all can probably bet, you know, good luck, little kid. You know, like I want to be a professional football player. Okay, little kid. You know, you get those, but it was like, no, that's what I want to be, and that's what I'm going to do. And I was very focused on it. Went through high school. You know, got a job early before I could even drive. All I did was put on roofs, and I don't remember what I was getting paid back then. I think it was around $6 an hour. All I could do was sit on that roof, and every hour, all I could count was money, another $6 worth of gas, another $6, anything and everything I could do to get money to go fishing. I didn't even have hardly any fingerprints on my hand. I lived on the roof so long. Then come graduation. No, when I was 16 years old, my parents bought me for my birthday present, bought me what used to be called Redman. So they bought me an entry fee to what's now the BFLs, but it was called the Redman Trail. I fished my first tournament, and actually I drew a woman. My first tournament, 16 years old, and my dad was there talking. She's an awesome lady. My dad was there talking, would help me talk to my first boater the first day. It was boat on boat draw. He said, what does my son need to do if he has to go to the bathroom? I was 16 years old. She's like, oh, just you let me know when you got to go, and I'll turn around, look out the back of the boat, you know, all that. And it got like, oh my gosh, my bladder was expanded as much as it could go, and I had to go so bad. And I don't even know why I'm telling you this is kind of dumb. I'm supposed to be telling you how I started fishing, but anyways, my first tournament on, you know, like a BFL, I said, ma'am, I got to go. She said, okay, you just go on up there and go. And dadgummit, I had to explode, but I got up there and got stage fright. And I stood up there like, I'm trying to go late. I didn't say that. And I got stage fright, and I couldn't hardly go. I don't know why I'm telling y'all. It's kind of funny. So anyway, me and my dad discussed, we said, how are you going to become a professional bass fisherman? And we decided that the best way for me to learn was to fish 3 different trails of the Redman of places I didn't even ever go to, because you're not going to learn much going to your home lake. So I fished 3 different divisions at 16 and 17 years old. And that's where I started learning and had some success. If you remember Redman Golden Blend, you probably remember that. Redman Golden Blend, started in that. And then the Invitationals come out. The very first year Invitationals came out, I was 18 years old, and a friend of mine slept in front of Bassmaster's door, bought a cot, slept in front. He was the second one to walk in. This is way before internet. And you had to call in. He registered me to fish the Invitationals the very first year they came out. At 18 years old, I won Angler of the Year and got my bid to go to the Bassmasters Classic, which I fished at 19 years old. And where did she go? Sandy. Where's Sandy at? And at 18 years old, I just got goosebumps. I made the invitational, and I came in and sat in Sandy's office, which was right up there, at 18 years old, and she signed me up for Ranger Boats, and Ranger Boats was my first sponsor ever because of Sandy. So, Sandy, thank you. That was part of my journey, and I'm still here to this day. And so I was, that was kind of my first sponsor, and then from then on, I just started my career, and I haven't looked back since. So that's kind of how I got started, and happy to be, as all these guys, happy to be where we're at today, just to know that we don't have to struggle to get up to go to work. It's like, what do you set your alarm for? I'm going to go to work. Well, what do you do for a living? I fish for a living. Oh, poor thing. Yeah. I chose it. These guys chose it. I don't think none of us will regret that choice we ever made. So Rick Clunn said this years ago. Remember at the Classic, James River. He looked out there. He had just come back, and he said, I want to tell every one of y'all in here, he said, to follow your dreams. And I take that to heart to this day. I even sign a lot of my autographs with kids. I say, follow your dreams. So if you're a kid in here, or whether you're a kid or not, follow your dreams. It doesn't matter what age you are. You don't want to live life regretting that you didn't follow your dreams. And I know none of us regret what we're doing. So that was my journey.